Well, good morning everybody, and you join me here on the allotment. And I thought what I'll do this week, just take you on a bit of a tour of the allotment. Beginning of May, we're not quite at the point that we are planting all our plants out. We're still at risk of frost, but we've taken a jump in some cases. And I just thought I'd show you what's going on. Now, the first area that you can probably see at the moment is this top area. This top area, for me, I am having a big tidy up over this next week because it's not too bad. It does need a bit of attention, and it's probably one of the worst areas at the moment. I think if everybody who has an allotment would admit to themselves, there's always areas that are problems. This top area has always been a bit of a problem, but we have got it in a bit of better control. Just need a good tidy up. Our biggest trouble, however, is our neighbours. I don't want to be rude, but I don't think our neighbours have been on their plot yet, so we don't know if they're cutting the grass or anything. It's starting to come over. However, that being said, the currants are in flower, the blackberries are in flower, so we do have plenty of chances of food. If we head on down to the beds, at the moment the hugelkultur bed just here isn't quite in use. I've got some compost I've got to throw down on top of it, and that will at least start making that into a bit of a useful spot. We've got the overwintered onions in here, which are starting to bulb up quite nicely now. We do need to give them a good weed. This might be something you hear a lot of, but they're bulbing up. It won't be too long before they're harvested, a couple of months maybe. In here we've got the garlic. We are suffering a bit with rust at the moment, but we get that every year. There's just nothing we can do about it. But overall, we got a good amount of garlic going on in here. 3 varieties. There's just one variety that hasn't done too well, but the 3 varieties plus the elephant garlic, and then I've put in a couple of zephyr squash, a summer squash, just down the end to make use of that space as well. And then over in here, I've set up all my canes in this bed for our beans, and I've put in some runner beans at the moment. We've got more beans, more runner beans, French beans, Belotti beans, as well as we've got some more areas just over there that we're also going to be growing beans up as well. You're obviously using the hazel sticks that I was processing like a couple of weeks ago. And then we've got 4 other beds. We've got a bed that is just being composted and got onions growing in there. They're not showing themselves just yet. The broad beans are looking fantastic, I have to say. We're looking forward to seeing how that gets on. There is a stray elephant garlic, I think it's elephant garlic anyway, that has popped up in there. We're leaving that to see just how well it does. Then we've got a couple of beds that aren't quite in use at the moment. They're going to be, in the next few weeks, being put into use. So that's really this top half of the allotment, what's going on. Lots of stuff that is happening, and there's lots of stuff that is going to be happening. Let's head on down to the bottom half where there's a few things going on. Now, as we make our way into the bottom half, I'm pleased to say our apple tree is in really lovely flower. I'm hoping we're going to get lots of apples out of that. This top bit, as we cross over, is where I tend to grow my perennials. We've got asparagus. It's not been a great year for asparagus so far, and it is very weedy, but we're hoping that's going to get better as we go on through. I'm going to be making a new asparagus bed at some point and really concentrate on getting rid of the weeds. Rhubarb, we've had plenty of pickings of rhubarb, so I'm quite happy with that. And the globe artichoke, still there. I'm debating about getting rid of it, but what I could do here is a bit of a better path between the 2 tops here. Obviously, when I started on this allotment, I only had this bottom half, and then I got that one at a later date, so this sort of path was a second thought, shall we say. Now, moving on down, I've just removed the last of our leeks from this bed here, and you may recall I'd left a bit of wildflowers to grow, a bit of weeds to grow in here. I've literally just removed our leeks, and I've just trimmed it right down onto the ground, and we're just going to leave that to rot down in the ground. We're going to be planting out some cabbages and brassicas in here in the not too distant future, so it is a case that we're just preparing at the moment to get that ready. We've got carrots in that bed, which we've grown from seed, but they're not germinated, so nothing to really show just yet. Same with the parsnips in the other bed, but we have got some things more that are a bit more successful. So in these top 3 beds, we've planted out our potatoes, main crop, second earlies, first earlies. They're all up. They're growing quite well actually, got to say they're looking nice and healthy. We are starting again to mulch them. I'm using lawn clippings quite a bit at the moment because that's all we've really got available. This year we're trying to make enough compost that we don't have to buy compost in, and we can use compost for mulching for next year, which means we've got lots of compost bins that we're filling up to try and do that. And basically we're not touching the compost at the moment to try and make sure we've got enough for next year. It is an ongoing challenge, but I think we should be okay next year. Added to that, our pear tree is actually got little fruitlets on it, so that's doing quite well. We should get plenty of lovely pears out of it this year. We've planted out some cabbages and cauliflower in here. We have had problems where something's been nibbling. I suspect pigeons. I didn't spray them enough with our grazers stuff that stops pigeons, so we're waiting to see if that is going to be okay. I don't like nets, I'll be honest with you. I don't like nets. So we're waiting to see just how we get on with that. We've also got some celeriac and some broccoli in that bed, all of which seems to be doing quite well. So yeah, we have got things growing outside. As I said, it's still a little bit too early, but things might suddenly change. But in a greenhouse, we have got quite a few things growing. So I feel at the moment the greenhouses are coming into their own. This one is Grandad's greenhouse, and the one behind me, Uncle Tim's greenhouse. Uncle Tim's greenhouse isn't fully glazed at the moment, so I'm using it to harden off some of our plants, giving it our young plants a bit of a shelter, but at the same time getting them used to being outdoors, and that's working quite nicely, got to say. I have also planted out some tomatoes in the ground in the bed, just because that one is meant to be for tomatoes this year, and I think they'll be okay. This year we're using this greenhouse itself for things like cucumbers and melons and things like that, which luckily we have planted out some in here for the time being, and they just starting to take. We're not sure if they're going to be perfect or anything, but they're in here and we will see just what happens. Basically it's going to be a real good growing season. I can't wait actually. I'm looking forward to getting this really growing and seeing just what we get out of this year. So there we go, that is my allotment. A bit of an update for the beginning of May. There's still many more things that need doing, and we'll be concentrating on that throughout this month as well. So keep tuned to keep seeing the changes. Thanks so much for watching. See you again next time.